Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week, we talk about Campaign 2, Episode 60, A Turtle by Any Other Name. I kind of preferred Turtle Party Kill.
Yeah. And I'm going to apologize in advance, guys. I've been sick the past few days, so if my voice comes and goes, that's why. I was thinking, how they do the D2 coins?
Yeah.
They should get one with, on one side, regular fucking turtle, and on the other side, Turtle Party Kill.
That's good.
New merch for your store, guys.
So, beginning of the episode, from a lore speculations point of view, very light.
Yeah.
And part of that's because they basically were in combat.
Yeah.
Immediately.
With the Dybbuk.
Yeah.
It's the jellyfish thing.
Right.
I found it. It's a Dybbuk. It's a demon that can possess a dead body and animate it, which is why it wasn't turned from Matt. Though in the descriptor block it does say it counts as an undead when it's doing that. So.
Does it have turn resistance?
No. So I'm not sure. Like, I can see why he ruled it that way to differentiate that this isn't a traditional undead. It's a demon animating a corpse. But, things that affect undead should affect it. Wrong.
Right on.
Not complaining about how it went down, just making an observation.
Yeah. Well, and that moment also was played into something that Bo was doing a lot this episode, which is mainly not fighting.
Yeah. Oh, they got that. Hey,
yeah.
You can make journal here, man.
Yeah.
Very Gravity Falls vibes to me.
But we also established that Liam has a play style.
Oh, yeah. We saw it in Campaign 1 in Tharamfala.
Yep. And this Thursday with the Goblin and the Bone Pit.
Had a chance to stop the fire. He's like, you hear a scream? I burn it.
Yeah.
In Tharamfala, you see a figure. Can't really tell what it is. Dagger, dagger, dagger.
Yep.
Not gonna lie, I have done that. I did that in our Sunday night game near the beginning of the campaign, to the chagrin of you and Tim, the other players.
I mean, I don't know.
See before you can get the exposition done. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. And as much as I was laughing in the moment, later on I was like, especially once Matt tore up the paper, I was like, that was my prediction! That was proof that I was going to be right! Or wrong.
Yeah.
But we do have another opportunity because Caduceus is going to prepare Speak with Dead.
Yes, because that goblin had information about these anchors.
Yeah, or at least how that one got there.
Yeah. And it's a new anchor. It's not an ancient one.
Yeah.
Which lends to the Cerberus Academy. Because they've been around for hundreds of years. Because they're, that old. Just naturally.
Well, I don't think it necessarily means the Cerberus Academy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't exclude them. And
True.
Definitely, it makes them more likely than other suspects.
Yeah. I was impressed with how fast those donuts got there. And so I have a couple out of character observations on this episode that were a lot of fun. And once again, Travis was our avatar at the table for me, anyway.
Yeah. He.
Especially around Ashley's.
I feel Travis a lot too, but I think and I've said before, I think my main avatar is Marisha. Not so much this episode is kind of 6 1 half a dozen the other for me, but I'd say overall she's for me.
But Travis now seems to be a convert to the dice gods.
Yeah, Laura's converting in and out of the game.
Yeah, and even Sam a little bit, because earlier on we commented on how Sam's now, and we were joking that it was proximity to Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Travis lives with her, and now he's testing D20s and saying which one of you is going to get to play tonight.
Yeah.
Although perhaps it was the fact that she has a dice jail now.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of why she got excited for the new Wormwood Kickstarter.
Yeah. Tabletop tiles.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Speaking about a character in Sam, the next letter is M, so now I'm 99.9% convinced it's a Wormwood advertisement.
Yeah. And I actually caught this one this time. I haven't been seeing that.
Yeah, it's just
I just
that
took your
little
word
square with the letter right there.
But like I said, Sam's flask has never been a big gag for me.
And I've always looked to see what it was. There's been some meh ones. There's been some good ones.
Yeah.
My favorite is the one where the guy's standing there with the gun and the people dead, and it's all Caleb's parents, and then at the bottom, why would Trent do this? That's still my favorite.
Speaking of Sam, he's now playing up a deepening identity crisis for Nott.
Yes, the concern for the goblin.
I think Sam had a sit down think, and I don't know if he conversed with anyone about it per se. But I think he had a long think about what Nott's story was going to be going forward.
Yeah.
And we saw a little bit of that the week before when he's like, am I horrible for leaving my husband?
Yeah.
Where now I think Sam has channeled that more into, do I want to be a goblin? How much of being a goblin is affecting me now?
Yeah.
And if going back to the Empire isn't an option for us, and staying in Xhorhas is what we have to do, am I okay with that? And if I am, what does that mean?
Yeah. Am I too far gone? Because she said, I'm becoming less me every day, more of this new me. And I'm really watching Sam because his backstory and my character's current story are very different ways of getting there, but similar.
Yeah, they're parallel enough that
I'm watching for that.
Yeah,
how will that
we also had a narrowing or redefinition of Caleb's PTSD.
Yes.
Because at the beginning of the campaign, it was any time he killed anything with fire, he was having to check.
Yes.
And we talked about that when he killed the giants in the gorge, going to Nicodranas. That Matt didn't make him check.
Yeah.
And now
he specifically asked since it was a humanoid, and he was like, yeah, it was a humanoid, so check.
Yeah.
And he made it. So
Yep. So I'm wondering if that's an indication of Caleb's progress, or if that is a realization that Caleb deals primarily fire damage. Do we want to handicap him this much in every situation? And the answer to that became no.
third option, is it him regressing? Yeah, progress, coming to terms with it, or is he slipping back into the old Caleb, which we've seen signs of?
I'd considered that angle.
I mean, we've commented several
Yeah.
times where it looks like he's slipping back into that, Trent's boy persona.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
Um,
I like to think it's him progressing and dealing with it and coming to terms because he's finding friends, he's becoming closer to people. But at the same time, he is slipping back. So
embracing that evil nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So I guess only time to tell on that.
Yeah.
So another out of game aspect that I kind of wanted to touch on, semi-serious but also kind of joking, is Travis's dice rolls being a punishment of Uk'otoa.
Yeah. You and I have both said multiple times, I know we're both strong believers. The dice know. The dice know how the story is supposed to go.
Yeah.
That's why it's just as fulfilling to get that natural 1 as it is to get that natural 20.
Yeah.
And in some ways more so.
Yeah.
We both, you mentioned the Uk'otoa, I put the dice know Travis's rolls.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is that, he's got that going, but, he's been kind of out of character. He's been more vocal rather than background. He's been, he's going through a change. And again, I said this last week, he's been setting this up. He's been slowly changing, and I think it's setting up to multi-class and get away from Uk'otoa.
Yeah, I can see that.
And he while not is the forerunner for an identity crisis, he's having his own mini identity crisis in the background with this whole Uk'otoa thing. And, whereas you saw Uk'otoa's displeasure, I'm seeing this identity crisis play out in the dice.
That's fair. So one of the saddest parts of the episode was Caduceus using his second channel divinity of the day on the zombie giant.
Yes.
And then Caleb polymorphed it, and nobody attacked it because eventually he just picked it up and put it through the rift.
Yeah. But there's things on the other side of that roof that can do far more damage than they can.
Yes, I'm not saying the polymorph and getting rid of it was a bad idea. I'm just saying that.
I mean, what thing did it run into that's going to do double damage to it?
Like the
even if it's just a Casme with that necrotic damage.
Like, I think the reason why he didn't do it was because he had planned to use the beetles against the Casme.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to waste the double damage on that.
Yeah.
But he could have just used the beetles and then channeled divinity afterwards on the Casme.
Yeah.
But 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yeah.
They eventually got rid of it. But speaking of the polymorph.
Okay.
We saw some perils of polymorph.
Yeah.
In this episode.
And there's some discussion online as to whether that was handled correctly. I say 100% yes.
Yeah, he said giant. Well,
so if you go back and watch it, he says giant turtle.
Yes.
Whatever, and Matt looks through and he says, "This is the closest thing," and he says, "Okay." Liam says, "Okay." End of discussion. At that point, it's handled 100% correctly from there on out.
Yeah.
If he had said, "No, I don't want a snapping turtle. Can it be a regular turtle?" Then, but Matt made a good point. If you're going to be using polymorph, bring the stats of what you're going to polymorph to the table.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Yeah. So I loved Matt saying that, have the stat block ready. And then when Sam was giving him shit about the horse.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to have you guys go get the minis from now on.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go dig through what you want to be turning them into.
And to be fair, that's a justifiable request. I mean, Liam's mini collection supposedly rivals Matt's. So.
Yeah.
And he's got kids that probably have little toy animals. So, I mean,
yeah,
he should be able to find whatever mini he needs.
Yeah. And so what's funny is I think Liam chose giant turtle because he has gone with a particular view of polymorph, which is find a beast that has enough hit points that it getting caught in an area of effect isn't going to drop it out and bring the bad thing back again.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that other side of that coin, which is creatures that have enough hit points to be able to do that, usually can deal out damage.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if Liam will change his tactic.
I mean, to a degree he did, because he said, now it's just a regular fucking turtle.
Yes. Yes. And on my initial watch, when Jester kept trying to dispel the rift in that room, I was like, why don't you just use your Pearl of Power? And then on my rewatch, I realized, oh, she uses the Pearl of Power very early in the episode.
Yeah.
I had just missed that.
Yeah.
Or forgotten about it by the time I reached that point.
Speaking of Jester closing the portals and the dice know, she's essentially closing doors, which is Artigan's bread and butter.
Yeah.
Who I believe and think I've laid out more than enough evidence that he's a traveler.
Yeah.
As well as people online. I'm not the only one who is on this. In fact, I think it's the leading theory at this point in time.
Yeah.
His symbol is a doorway with a path. The dice know.
Yeah. And that also got me thinking, what other spell could they use to close the rifts? And my first thought was a spell that they all have. Well, yeah, the three main casters of the group all have banishment.
Yeah.
So they haven't tried using that spell. But if they did use that spell, would Matt rule that the rift goes away?
Possibly. I think it would depend on the anchors, That's another way to do it too, we found.
Yes.
They broke that anchor and they closed.
We have yet to know how exactly the anchors work.
Yeah.
And is it one portal per anchor, or is it multiple portals per anchor? And what is the range?
Yeah, and that's what I think it is.
Multiple portals per anchor.
I think the anchor has a radius, and it keeps open any portals in that radius.
Yeah. That's also my leading theory. Just because because it's demonic, there's a random nature to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, or a chaotic nature to it, if you like. Where they may not necessarily be able to guarantee where these portals are going to pop open, except they will be within the radius of this thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably the way it works. And so the only factor is how quick do these portals open? And how soon does the next one open? And the one after that?
Yeah.
Because if the giants are to be believed, and why would we not?
Right, we've got no reason to doubt them at this point.
The initial opening happened in the bone pit. The things came out and drove them away. In the intervening time of them taking over the steel mill and going back, which is 8 days? Something like that? Another portal opened.
Yeah. Well, in the city, down in the well, they had found evidence that it was being set up for another portal.
Yes, a permanent thing. Yeah.
So
essentially a tunnel through the divine gate is what they were trying to build.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and only further study by the players is going to reveal that, I think. And see, and you were talking about how you just said that the traveler doesn't want those closed because they're doorways. I took a similar but different view, which is perhaps this is evidence that the traveler's powers are not complete.
Yeah. And well, we had that theory from the beginning that when we were talking about trammels, and that maybe being a thing, that how the Raven Queen gave a trammel, which cemented her power to where they couldn't be like, nope, we're taking it away.
Yeah.
When the traveler offers his trammel, that he would be the Raven Queen's parallel in this new set of trammels.
Yes.
So we've been talking about that since Trostenwald.
Yeah, and
or shortly after.
And that Traveler Con is the first step to the Traveler's miracles that he needs. Because even with Vecna,
technically Jester is the first step.
Fair. But with Vecna, Matt even says he needs to perform this many miracles.
Yeah.
Before he reaches godhood.
So does that make Jester the Archbishop or the Pope?
Possibly, but we have.
Pope
I don't think so. I think, and this may end up being official tie-in, because we've had tangential tie-ins to Campaign 1.
Yeah.
We had the sailor with the tattoo of Pike's ship. We had
the captain of the person who took him to the water Ashari, the ship that took him to the water Ashari.
Well, maybe that was technically an official one first.
Terry Darrington's book that Pumat was reading.
Yeah. But where I think it's possible that somebody that Vox Machina had contact with is the one possibly that brought Hardigan across. And here's the wildest of wild speculations. That it was one of Percy and Vexaga's kids.
Wow. Okay.
Because Percy always had an infatuation with the Feywild.
Yeah.
Had always wanted to go there. They went, when they came back, he had forgotten everything. But Scanlan undid that magic, so he could remember. Vexalia sort of repaired her relationship with her father. And Singorn goes there and back a lot. If Vox Machina kept up their part of the bargain to give him a doorway,
which
who's to say it's not Whitestone? And they said that they would.
Yeah. No, the epilogue says that they did complete it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could very well.
So I think one of the von Musels, or De Rollos, I guess. Sorry, could be the Pope of the Traveler.
Okay. Yeah.
Which would make the best
of the Holy City.
Possibly, but it would make the best headspin for Laura.
Yeah.
Because she's been going, we've seen it, her competitive nature. Jester's competitive nature is, I'm going to be the best one. I'm the favored one.
I'm his favorite because he's already given me spells.
Yeah. How awesome would it be that at Traveler Con she has to face off against De Rollo?
Yes. Yes.
Because that's now my fantasy for that.
And De Rollo brings Trinket with them.
Or a descendant of Trinket, because Trinket would be dead.
Yeah.
Bears don't live that long. Sorry. Well, make for an interesting multi-class. Trickster, Cleric, Ranger.
Yeah.
Because in theory, because of the Beastmaster bond, it could still be the spirit of Trinket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they could just use the UA cohort rules.
Yeah. But I think that's even more
with a bear.
Yeah, but I think that's even more of a stretch than
the
De Rollo being the Pope. But I think of all of Vox Machina and the potential tie-ins, that's the one.
Yeah.
Or a short halt. One of those two.
Yeah.
But I think the De Rollo is more likely. So, yeah. Also, one of the things that I thought was interesting, and it struck me in this episode, is the seeming continued nautical theme in this episode, where you have the jellyfish-esque demonic creature.
Yeah.
And do you think that that is an indication of Uk'otoa? Or do you think that's just
I don't.
a random thing that Matt thought would be fun to throw at them with the zombie giants?
I think it was just a fun thing to throw at them. Although it does harken back to the moment that Jester and Ford shared with the jellyfish in the ocean.
Yeah. Which Ford sort of commented on. He's like, you can't take these things as pets.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're not as pretty, or something to that effect.
Yeah. The jellyfish were supposed to be pretty.
Yeah. One of the sad moments also for me was the no Hadouken.
Yeah, I was excited that she did the lightning punches, and I think they ruled it right with the divine, because it is just extending the range. It's still her. But still, like, she goes around and does this slide thing to hit the guy from the ground with the range, and she's trying to stay away from the turtle because at the time she's frightened. And she's like, I can't move towards it, but so can I go around at an angle? And I'm like, you can run on walls. You have that now. And I'm still waiting for that moment when she runs up a wall or runs across the river, because she can run across water.
It's probably not going to happen until she has one of those moments of looking through her character sheet, trying to find the thing that's going to save their asses.
But I'm still waiting for it. That was the sad part for me. I'm like, you just run up the wall. It's near the ceiling. You can just run up right to it.
Oh, yeah.
But I did like that she used the lightning gloves.
Yeah, and speaking of running up to the ceiling, we saw first evidence of the barbarian in want of a fly speed, which is something that we talked about earlier on when
that's
we
her,
found out she's
her
a
path
fallen
to redemption. Then they talk about being able to restore yourself, and I found it very fitting. The callback, where do you find your strength? Another campaign one callback. Of course, I think that's more that it's the Stormlord's part of the Stormlord's teachings, because this is the Stormlord asking her, and when Grog was asked that at the pit in Vasselheim, it was by basically the head priest in Vasselheim of the Stormlord, because that arena was a temple to the Stormlord, and he was a follower of the Stormlord.
That's right.
So I think that's a core part of the Stormlord's teaching, at least in this world.
And see, okay, that tempers my disappointment some.
Okay.
Because in the moment of that second dream, I got a little annoyed that Matt's doing the same thing with another barbarian. But you make a good point. It could be because it's the Stormlord.
Yeah, and both times are with someone directly connected to or being the Stormlord,
Yeah.
One thing, though, I noticed, her wings begin to feather and the bonds weaken, but they don't break. And one of the ways she gets her strength is Zuala, her wife. Now, we try to keep all our information limited to that we speculate on, for the most part, limited to talks in the show.
Yeah.
Well, last week, Ashley mentions that she ran as they were about to murder Zuala.
Yeah, she didn't actually witness the execution.
Which means she may still be alive and have resentment towards her for leaving her.
I will not poo-poo your statement because you said there was a possibility. And there always are possibilities, to quote Spock. But no, Zuala's dead.
Is she?
Yes.
Much like, crap, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Percy's little sister died? Was last seen as she was being struck down?
The difference there is that the Briarwoods needed her for legitimacy. They needed the Duello children there. Zuela is under a death sentence by her people, and so is Yasha. Yasha got away. They're not going to lift the death sentence because your compatriot got away.
Okay.
Also, if we were right in our initial speculation that the thing that Yasha can't remember, the reason why she has fallen, is because she did go back and murder her entire tribe.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. So.
And I think that the first, and we're getting ahead of in the episode, but that first dream, because they were two different figures in her dreams.
Yes.
They were two different origins, because that first one was her ASMR guide.
Yes.
And if we were going to get that was the opportunity for her to see members of her tribe. And perhaps because of what she did in the second vision, we may get further details in those visions
Okay.
from her guide, quote unquote. Because the Stormlord seems to come sourceless or from the clouds.
Yeah.
When the Stormlord speaks to her. The angelic guide, when she has dreams of it, she sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the demonic horns and everything. As the fallen Asimar can be. But we got definite confirmation that we were correct from eons ago once we found out she was a fallen Asimar.
Mm-hmm.
That her arc was going to include becoming a protector Asimar.
Yeah, the redemption arc.
Yeah. And that was a great narration of that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matt really seems to be on his game with these dream sequences.
Yeah.
That he's given the players. Now, my question to you is, and probably to Matt, that will never be answered, or not until the post-campaign questionnaire. Was that second dream improv, or did he have it in his back pocket for some future event? Because it seemed like it was more improv than anything to me. Like, I think within the structure of the narrative that he has in plan for her.
I think the skeleton of the dream was something he had in his back pocket, hadn't fleshed out yet.
Okay.
Because it was supposed to be a future dream.
Yeah.
But because of what happened at the table, he had improv'd it to come up now.
Yeah, okay. So we're basically in agreement there.
Yeah.
Because that was my feeling as well.
I feel like he's probably got a few dreams ahead for each of them, depending, and probably a couple, depending on how they make choices, Kind of like you do with any DM storyline, Okay, if they go here, they can run into this, 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 and this. So I've got them all in varying degrees of being fleshed out, depending on how likely I think it is, and I'll improv what I have to, in case they do something different. Yeah. I think that's the same thing with the dreams. Depending on what they do, the dreams could go this way, this way, this way, or this way. This is what I feel is more likely. I'm going to give it a little more flesh. These I'll improv more because they're less likely, but still possible.
Yeah. And also, I do the same thing when players seek omens or what have you. I do a similar thing there.
Yeah.
Or maybe I didn't think of something, but if the player is looking for direction, they make a roll, and depending on how they roll, will determine how I narrate what they see. If they roll poorly, I give it to them in as vague terms as possible.
Yeah. And if we roll well,
it's more detailed and gives better direction.
Yeah.
You
do a good job of still leaving it to interpretation, though, because it is an omen.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's important when you do that. Speaking of the dreams, Ukatoa, in an out-of-character situation, Travis seems to be suffering under the warlock meme. Say it, say it, say it! I cast Eldritch Blast. Yay!
Yeah.
And Not rescues him, tries to, and then later makes fun of him with the Eldritch Blast, which, by the way, was awesome. That was probably of the combat portion of the episode, I think that was probably my favorite moment of the evening. Because my absolute favorite part of the episode was the Yasha dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know if Matt was prepared for her to turn around and look at the bodies. Because that was the other thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Because had he been... Okay. Not necessarily that he wasn't prepared for her to look at them, but might not have been prepared to deal the information that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That the bodies that she sees are her former tribesmates.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't ready to give that information. Because in a sense, that hits harder after the second vision that she has.
Mm-hmm.
After her thinking about her new family friends when asked, where do you get your strength from?
Yeah.
So the reveal of so now that gives the devilish guide cause now to expose that in mocking anger at her near success in that previous moment. Whereas in the first dream, she hasn't done anything that is against her fallen aspect.
Yes.
Where the second vision was the first time she's done something like that. Which actually may connect her and Ford. Because her attempt to get out from under this fallen aspect may hold the key for Ford getting out from under Uk'otoa.
True.
In a narrative sense. And Matt is usually good. Well, this campaign especially, he has shown that these players' backstories are not in the same kind of vacuum as Campaign 1.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely.
That he has woven them together.
Yeah.
With the way that Sam and Liam lost their shit when they got to Felderwind. And it's both their backstories coming at them. And a similar kind of thing when they were going off on Ford's journey, going into Jester's.
And even Yasha's to the degree they could.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt's done a much better job this campaign of weaving all of those elements together. So I think, I think Yasha's path of redemption is going to help Ford with his.
Break his yoke.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Which may give him the out for the Celestial Patron.
That's true.
As the Stormlord.
Yeah. Be interesting.
If that's the route he goes, he could do Storm Sorcerer as his multi-class. I know we've talked about how he's not been comfortable with the full casters, but when they did Laura's one-shot, he was a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And the elf one-shot, I think he was also a full caster.
Yeah, I think he can do it. It's just stretching him past his comfort zone.
I think his comfort zone has expanded. And I think...
And it has.
And that's why...
And we're watching it expand.
Yeah, and I say that, and I think that's why he's having frustration, I think. Or maybe just boredom with Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
And only having 2 spells, that frustration. Where I think him multiclassing into a full caster is not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, definitely.
So for that we'll have to see where the story goes, but that would be interesting for him to do Storm Sorcerer and switch his patron to Celestial.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if. Well,
here's the funny thing: if he does Celestial, though, we now have another healer.
Yeah.
To
I'm just
compete with
thinking
Jester.
Raw, if he switches that, he loses his martial weapons proficiency. Because he gets that from being a Hexblade.
It's true.
Now, I mean, you could say you don't really forget. He's going to let him keep it anyway.
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about, he doesn't have to necessarily give up being a Hexblade to change patrons either, from a narrative standpoint.
Right. Yeah, from a narrative, but then that would conclude becoming a Celestial Warlock.
Yeah, yeah, it would stop that. But it would be funny to have Ford be able to heal people, especially without spells, because they have the pool of D6s.
Well, I mean, he could homebrew a mix where he keeps the martial weapon proficiency and the ability to use charisma with the weapons, but he gives up the Hexblade's curse for the healing pool.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
So.
Yeah. So they have a moment where they find fabric.
Yes.
And we both have the same joke in our notes, and it's the same joke that Liam told at the table, which is that the new chair?
Yes. Well, my joke is, what's the fabric used on the seat of the chair?
Yeah.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say that Sam was right to, like, they were right to connect, they were possibly right to connect that fabric to something. And that it was blue is potentially indicative of the Cobalt Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, Matt did mention it's a different shade of blue. It's a darker blue.
Well, if it's stained or been there a long time and dirty.
It's true.
But
the way he said it, it seemed to be like, no, this is not Cobalt Soul blue. Okay. That's how I took it.
Okay. But Bo wears 3 different shades of blue.
It's true.
But yeah, Marisha didn't really grab onto that. And if that was a clue for her, I think Sam might have been trying to get Matt to explicitly state it. Where Matt's kind of like me, where he doesn't explicitly state a conclusion that can be drawn from evidence.
Yeah.
Unless it's important to the plot of what that you need to make this connection to move forward and not spend the next
4 sessions
spinning
around
your wheels. Yeah. But I don't think in either case that even if it is Cobalt Soul related, that is not important to the plot. So he's not going to show that.
Yeah.
Even if it is.
Yeah.
I think it's just it could also just be, hey, there are other things in the world in this area that are happening.
Yeah.
Which, in contrast to my former statement and anger about that goblin being the evidence for my theory, it could also just be that goblin was just there because scavenging off the stone giants is good living.
Yeah.
And it hid from the stone giants. It possibly hid from whatever dropped that anchor there.
Yeah. I think we'll find out next week at the Speak with Dead.
Yes. Now, Taliesin made the comment that how are you going to find the right bones in a bone pit to cast Speak with Dead on?
You got to find its bones and then parts of the bones that make noise.
Yeah. Do you think Matt is going to hold that logic if they go to try to talk to it because he ripped up that paper?
No. He may make them make an investigation check going through the thing to find it, but I don't think it's going to be super high. It's freshly scorched bones. I mean, well, they all are, but I mean, they're obviously going to be newer.
Yeah. Well, and
They
in theory,
burn
there
away
may
all
still be
the
flesh. Yeah. Although, here's the thing, though. In Matt's narration, it most certainly did.
Okay, true.
Because in Matt's narration, he specifically said, "You incinerate the goblin." Is what he said.
Yeah.
So, there may not be a body there.
There may not. I don't think it. I don't want to say it's going to be a low DC, but it's not going to be an insanely high DC either. Probably like 18 to 20, which is pretty high, but especially at 9th level, not out of the realm of possibility. Especially with Knot, who's got expertise in investigation.
Yeah, if Knot's making the check, it's possible.
I mean, she's got a plus 11.
Yeah. If Caduceus is making a check, it's impossible.
Right.
Um,
Well, that's why you send, hey, you want me to talk to this goblin friend of yours, you go find the bones, bring them back up here. I'm not going through that.
Yeah.
You'll fit better,
Well, and Knot's the one that went down there and
got
found
anchor.
the anchor.
Yeah.
Um,
My question, so Ford spent, what, at least half the episode afraid of the turtle?
Yeah.
When they get back to Nigerdronus, is Orly going to surprise him?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because he was just really excited that somebody, when Liam said, "I'm going to turn it into a turtle," and he was like, "I've been waiting for someone to do that."
Yeah, you beautiful wizard.
He wasn't freaked out until Matt said snapping turtle.
Well,
and that's because Travis knows what a snapping turtle can be. Like,
okay,
IRL.
So yes, but I was talking more of the fact that he was under the frightened condition for...
Yeah, I don't think... Technically, he wasn't afraid of the turtle. He was afraid of the giant that spilled its guts all over the place.
That then became a turtle?
Yes. Which is why they had advantage on the saving throw. So, yeah. I mean, that was a fun part of the episode, too. And Travis... Mind, and so here's a rules question that we can talk about real quick. Even though we're running out of time, we want to speculate on next episode. Travis was talking, he was miming the dodge action.
Mm-hmm.
He said everything but, "I take the dodge action." He was screaming about getting away and not getting an attack. He technically could have taken the disengage to get away. Or did his Eldritch Blast, and then, or not done the Eldritch Blast, but ended up taking the dodge action.
Yeah.
So it had disadvantage. Would you have asked for clarification in that moment?
I more than likely would have. I've been like, so you're taking the dodge action?
Yeah. Because I was kind of surprised that Matt didn't. But that's a side effect of having 7 players at the table.
Yeah.
You got shit to do, and you got to get going.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, this week's episode.
Okay. We've already discussed Speak with Dead.
Yep.
We will see them return to the small folk. We will see them lie as Caduceus said.
Do they have to give up that locket and letter to ensure that they don't chase the giants down?
No. My question is, do they turn over the locket and letter as the embarrassment, or do they blackmail them themselves?
I don't think they blackmail them themselves. If they don't use it to secure the safety of the Giants and return it, they keep it and trade it for magic items.
Okay. Yeah. I think we either this episode or the following one, just depending on how late they get to it, we will get definite conclusion one way or the other as to whether that blade matches the hilt.
Yes.
I'm still praying, believing that it does, and am excited to see that because I think that is going to be a vestige.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and the only way that happens is
Going north.
well, no, is if they all go to the library to turn in the quest, as it were. Because unless Caduceus sees it,
Yeah.
he's not gonna. Because Caduceus is the only one really that has studied that thing.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna. He's the only one really that could
Say
make
for
that.
sure.
His perception is high enough to be able to notice the individual breaks,
Mm-hmm.
the fracture pattern.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his intelligence is not high enough, potentially, to remember said pattern.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I can see. Okay, your perception is high enough. Go ahead and give me an intelligence roll. Straight intelligence.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, if he rolls well, yeah, you notice, you think that.
You recognize the fracture pattern.
Now, Taliesin being fascinated, or Caduceus being fascinated with this hilt, I think if he's there, even if he doesn't put it together, he may want the blade anyway.
No, on Talks, he said Caduceus wants the staff. If Caduceus had his choice of those objects.
They didn't. They told him the staff, the ring, the cloak. They didn't mention the blade to Caduceus.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't. Did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
because I thought the same thing, and on my rewatch, no, they did mention the blade.
Oh, okay. Well, then I take that statement back.
Which is why when he said on Talks, I was like, oh, then he really wants the staff.
Yeah, which we didn't think he would because he's already got the staff with the Beatles.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe once they get there, maybe Caduceus asks, ask the person, Wako, hey, do you know anything about these people up north?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, why? And then, well, I got this. Or, do you have anything in your library about this?
Yeah, my only concern with that is, does that mean, does she, not bring out the blade again and try to get them to give her the hilt?
Yes. If it happens that way, yes, she tries to get the hilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. If it happens that way, that's for sure how it goes.
Okay.
But
that's my thought too.
She also may not know she has what she has.
Oh yeah.
Because Matt described a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
That she also pulled out. So we'll see. I think Caleb may get access finally to some dunamancy.
Okay. I think they're going to have... It's possible. The way that I interpreted it was they'd have to do more than one job. Or an exceptionally well job. So it'll depend on if they believe the lies about the giants.
Closing additional rifts in Jorahas, I think.
Do they mention that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do they mention that to Wako? I mean, I can see them going back to the Breakwing being like, hey, there's another anchor and it's newer. So this isn't just an old problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I don't really see them bringing that up to Wako.
No, I don't either. It treads too close to. Yeah, we went to the Giants' lair and found this, which might cause the line to unravel. I can see that.
We'll find things out Thursday.
Yep.
Right now, we're going to go see Travis and Ashley on Talks. Bye, guys.
See ya.